Hello, future designers and developers. In this video, we are going to be adding rejects to our HTML, which is going into our pattern attribute so that we can do some form validation. What rejects will allow us to do is basically accept specific characters into our input and then show whether or not it is valid. So for example, under name, we want to please enter our name. We are going to need to require a pattern that goes in here. So to start, I'm going to go to the input with name, and right here you can see I've got required, and I'm going to throw in pattern and do a little equal and leave it empty right now because we're going to be adding in some rejects. So linked on the document, we've got a link to this right here. This is a rejects kind of writer. It allows us to write rejects and get a preview of what is actually going to be captured inside of this. So to start, I am just going to get rid of all of this inside of here. So name is definitely going to be our easiest pattern. What we're looking to accept inside of the rejects is basically any letters, but we don't really want numbers, but we're just going to take letters as our characters inside of here. So let's start with a square brace and a closing square brace. So now any characters that match this set, we've created this set over here. So let's start with our capital letters. So we're going to say A to Z. So capital A to capital Z. And you can see it starts to highlight all these capital letters. All of those are accepted values. Then we want to accept all of our lowercase values too. So we're going to say A to Z, but this time they're lowercase. And now you can see it is selecting all of those lowercase letters as well. But we also have an issue here. There's a space. We don't, people may have spaces in between their name. We're just asking for name, not first name, last name. So we might want to have a space. So we're going to add in a space inside of this bracket. And now we have got all these individual characters and right there. But you can see the blue box, there's this little separation in between them. All of them are valid responses. What if we wanted a particular length to our name? Let's say that the name has to be a certain number of characters. Well, we can put our requirements inside of these little bracers on the outside here. And let's say that we wanted at least 5, 0, or I'm sorry, not 0, just 5. So now anything that is at least 5 long is going to be accepted. Now that's not, also we don't really want that. We're going to set this to 1 because there's names like Ryan that only have 4 letters. So this is going to be our simplest pattern. This is what we're going to use for our name because that selects pretty much every bit of text that we can write, even with the spaces in between. Cool. So let's take this. I'm going to copy this, go over to our form, and throw that into our pattern here. So that's what we're going to be accepting inside of our pattern. All right. Now email is going to step things up quite a bit. It's going to be a lot more complicated. So after the required inside of my email, I'm going to give this a pattern property. And again, I'm just going to have this open and there's nothing going on in there. Cool. So now with our pattern here, let's go into rejects and we're going to clear out most of this. Or actually, no, we're gonna keep this, but we will get rid of our space because there's not gonna be spaces inside of our email. But we now may have numbers inside of our email. And let's actually, I'm gonna clear this out and I'm just going to type in here email@email.com. So we want to make sure that this is entirely valid, but we also want to make sure that there are specific scenarios that we don't want people putting in fake emails. So we're going to put in a little bit of protection against that. So we've got, we'll also throw in numbers. So we're going to say email 14 right there. Cool. So how do we add in numbers? Well, we got A through Z. So now we're going to say 0 through 9. So that's going to get all the numbers 0 through 9. And you can see 1 and 4 are now selected. So we've got those. Sweet. Now, what we also want, there's other characters that we can have inside of our emails. For example, Google will allow you to put a period anywhere in your email and it will still work. So you could do email.14 and we're still going to have that. So those are common characters inside of emails, as well as pluses and underscores. Those are also characters that we see inside of emails. We don't really see much more out of that, so we're going to leave it right there. Now, we want to be able to connect these elements together. So let's say that we've got anything inside of this expression works, but we want to make sure that there's an @ sign that follows our first expression. So we're going to say plus our @ sign. So now you can see it's selecting everything up until our @ sign, and it has that included. Now, what we want to be able to select another set of characters, this set of characters over here. So let's create another set inside. So we're going to do open and close of our square braces. And again, we are going to fill in, we accept our email domain. Right here can be anything A through Z uppercase or A through Z lowercase. And then we also can have our numbers inside of here. So maybe we've got 0 through 9. We might, I don't know if we'd have anything else. We wouldn't want to include spaces. We might have a dash inside, but I'm not exactly sure if there'd be dashes. We're going to leave it like there because that's email domains typically play pretty clean. So, all right. Now, after that, we have this selected. We still don't have a certain number of characters. Let's say that we want to make sure that we have a full length of our email and our .com. We're going to include that in another area. We are going to add a period. So now you can see it goes all the way up to the period over here. That's our plus period. But we also want to escape this character. What I mean by that is we don't want to include just the period. What am I trying to say here? We want to escape this character so that it matches exactly this character. Because otherwise, if we just have the space here, it will accept any character except dot. Or we don't want dot. We want this right here that matches our period. So escaped character matches a period, not a dot, where you see it just matches a dot except line breaks. We want to escape this, so it's just the period. That's what I was trying to say. Whew. Now, after the period, we want to have this to be accepted, that we want to have our .com. So we are again going to create some bracers, and we're just going to do lowercase a through Z. And inside of this, after this, we are going to do 2 characters. It has to be at least 2 characters. So we're going to say 2, comma, no limit on the outside. So how many characters? And then after that, now why we do this is because there's now just not .com. We've also got like .uk and .co, that all of these are valid emails as well. So you can see my whole email is now selected. So this right here is all going into that pattern. So we're going to cut this out. We're going to go over here. We've got our email. Let's throw that in here. Cool. Now our phone number is going to be a little bit less intensive. Email is definitely the most intensive one. So we'll throw in pattern. We'll say that pattern is equal to, inside of here, we are going to go back into reject, and we'll create our first set of characters. This one is for our phone number. So I'm just going to type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. We want to make sure that we're able to select all this. And this is perfect because this is 10 digits. Our phone numbers we want to be 10 digits. So we are going to start with 0 through 9 and, not 19, 9. And then in our curly bracers, we're going to say 10, comma, 10. So it has to be exactly 10 numbers. Now there are some other, if we wanted to include like country codes and stuff like that, we may need to bump this number up to 11 or 13 even to include country codes, but that all depends on what website you're creating. I'll leave it right now and I will cut that. Let's go into our phone number and give that a particular pattern. Now, the formatting of creating these brackets and dashes, to my knowledge, can't be done inside of CSS. There might be a way, but we're just going to leave it like that. All right, now password, the only requirement that we're gonna have on this password is that it's 7 characters. So no first letter has to be capitalized or you need a special character or anything like that. So we're just gonna, again, throw in here a pattern and we're gonna set that equal. And inside of here, we wanna accept a lot of things into our password. So let's get over here. Let's start with a capital password, exclamation point, 46 ampersand. We want to make sure, or I said 46, it's 47. We want to make sure all of this is accepted. So we're going to start with our uppercase letters. We'll go A through Z, and then our lowercase letters, again, A through Z. We want to get our numbers 0 through 9, and we want to get some special characters in here. We don't want to include a space because we don't want spaces inside of our passwords generally. They're not a good character to have in there. So let's have exclamation point. We're going to have our hashtag, our money, percentage, caret, and asterisk, open and close parentheses. Those all fit great. So you could see you could put tons of different characters in there. And if it doesn't work, then it will say that it's not a valid character. So that's really great for us. We want to make this 7 at least. So we're going to say 7, comma, nothing. No top limit. So this right here meets all of our password requirements. Well, let's take our password and we are going to cut that out and throw that into our pattern over here. Cool. All right, that is it for writing our regex. Now we are going to be able to add in our validation. So when I click on here, if I now have something that makes it valid, such as my name, or if we say email at co.co, that makes it valid. But if I go out of here and I type out, it's now not valid. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.